How's everyone doing? Good. Enjoy a little break. Ready to get back into the action? Okay, then. Well, I am very excited to introduce our next guest. He is actually on the latest cover of Billboard right now. I met him in London last month to chat for the story, where he splits his time between London and Lagos. Now we're in Las Vegas, talking about how this Afro-Fusion superstar is taking the world by storm and conquering its biggest stages. From the Hollywood Bowl to Madison Square Garden, where he recently became the first Nigerian act to headline and sell out the world's biggest arena. Come on, let's give a round of applause for just that feat alone. Ladies and gentlemen, Burna Boy. Hello. How are you? Let's take a seat. How are you feeling? Cover star. Listen, you look very good. The orange is inspired by one of your outfits. You had an orange leather suit. I forgot which show it was. And I found that on Google Images, and I said, let me channel the African giant for this conversation.
You did well, you did well.
Thank you. I have the Burna stamp of approval, everyone. Just wanted to let you know. All right, so let's just break down the title of this panel, The Explosion of Afro-Fusion. For those in the audience who don't know, what is Afro-Fusion and how did you come up with this kind of music?
Basically, I just mixed up a bunch of different sounds and different genres and different cultures, and just, turned it into one genre called Afro-Fusion, because the base of it is Afro beats, which is not Afro beats.
Right.
It's Afro beat. That's the foundation. So I kind of use that as the base, as the layer of the music, and everything else just comes on top, and that's Afro-Fusion. So Afro-Fusion is very diverse and very, very. You have to be very versatile to be able to fit in.
100%. And growing up in Nigeria, who were you listening to?
I was listening to Fela.
Of course.
I was listening to Fela. I was listening to a whole bunch of people. I was listening to a lot of Fuji music. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a lot of even from the generations after. The Two Faces and Two Faces, the DBS and the Dibanches, and like all that is part of it. Yeah.
And even in London, you were telling me like a lot of the American rappers like DMX and
exactly.
like Eminem.
That's what I used to listen to before I even wanted to accept I was an African.
But now you've embraced it in such a beautiful way, and have other people, like myself, I'm African. My parents are born and raised in Ethiopia, and just seeing what you've done for African and Black people all over the world is just incredible to see.
Thank you.
And you mentioned Fela. For those who don't.
Fela.
Yes.
Not Fela.
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 You say it with strength.
Fela. Your grandfather was his first band manager.
Yeah.
What has been the greatest career advice he's ever given you?
I don't know if I can say it here. But my granddad is a very straightforward guy, and he doesn't beat around the bush ever. So he can say 2 words, and that 2 words can go more than a whole album I make. So the best advice he ever gave me is 2 words, literally. He said, "Fuck everybody." Literally.
Hey, That's some pretty good advice.
Exactly.
I'm not mad about it. And obviously, like, you're someone who stands so tall on their own, headlining anywhere from the Hollywood Bowl to MSG. I mean, these are incredible, incredible feats. You'll also be performing at the Billboard Music Awards this weekend, which I'm so excited about. Like what steps have you taken to get to these big stages? Like, what has allowed you to be this incredible performer?
Good.
That deserves a round of applause for sure. What was your favorite memory of Madison Square Garden? Because even though I wasn't there, you know what really stuck out to me? The bras people were throwing at you. I said, okay, it's a little Victoria's Secret on stage right now.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part, though?
That was also, I think that was my favorite part.
Okay. It would be, see? I know. Also at that show, you performed your brand new single, Last Last, which just came out. Love it already.
Thank you.
It samples Toni Braxton.
Exactly. Legend.
He wasn't man enough. How did you come to use that sample? Like, are you a big Toni Braxton fan? What's up with that?
I mean, that song is a big part of, like, you know, my childhood and, like, you know, just coming up really. So, you know, it kind of fit the situation I was trying to, you know, it just fit, and it was just perfect, you know?
Yeah. No, I love the vibe that you're going for. And it was funny when we were talking before for the cover, you said that you think that you're better at performing than making music, which is saying something because you're really good at making music. That was the quote.
Yeah.
When did you first fall in love with performing? Like, when did you knew this was your strong suit?
When I watched, I can't remember what year it was the Grammys. I was watching it, and I was like young, and it had Justin Timberlake and the whole NSYNC performing with Nelly on the stage and stuff. And then at the same time, after that, I think they had Luciano Pavarotti and stuff. And then I just looked at it and I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's where I'm at. Like I just knew from as soon as I seen that, I just knew that was like that was gonna be my life, you know? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
You're definitely born performer, for sure.
Yeah.
What are your earliest memories of performing?
Well, it's not really a memory because my mom had to remind me. I was too young to remember. But apparently I was a kid and singing Naughty by Nature, hip hop hooray and stuff, and climbing tables and embarrassing my mom and stuff in stores and everywhere, you know. I don't even know how old I was, what, 3 or 2 or what. She should be out here somewhere, so you guys should ask her when I'm done.
Shout out Mama Burna, for sure. Obviously, just when you're talking about how you grew up and the kind of music that you listen to, and even just like watching NSYNC and Nelly at the Grammys, to listening to, you know, Eminem, DMX, and also Fela. Did I get it right? There you go.
That's it.
As African music, you know, is increasing popularity, especially out here in the West, like how have you seen your reception change? And even just like when you look out on stage in your American shows, like what's been different? Like what have you noticed?
I mean, it's a lot of diversity, a whole lot of diversity. It's like I see the whole world under one roof, you know, so yeah, that's one of my biggest blessings, is the fact that I get to experience so many different cultures and people without even really having to really do too much to experience it. I just end up on stage in front of all these different people under one roof every time. So it's like I get to learn a lot, you know? Yeah.
Totally. What's interesting, I feel like as African music has become more popular here in the States, there's been a lot of crossover hits in this, you know, just like the journey of songs like Essence or Love Nwantiti or Peru coming, you know, from the African continent, probably shifting closer to like the UK where there's a big African, especially Nigerian population, and then coming out here to the US. But what I love about you is that in previous interviews, you talk about a reverse crossover. and instead of this idea of you coming to other people, them coming to you. Talk a little bit about that in terms of kind of like, what's it like to not, think of yourself as doing the traditional kind of crossover?
I don't know. That sounds more like a sentence than a question, because it is what I said, and it's self-explanatory. I don't know how to possibly explain it other than the fact that it's still a crossover. It's just I'm not following the rules. I'm not following whatever path has been set. Because I know myself, and it's like when you know yourself and you know what you're trying to do and you know your mission, I mean nothing can really distract you, So yeah.
Yeah, totally committed, just like going your own lane. I like that. One of the things that is funny about the story of like behind one of your first, quote unquote crossover hits, the song Yay, in 2018.
She said that one right.
For the record. Thank you. There was another person who now goes by the name Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. He released his album Ye in 2018, and what I was reading is that a lot of his fans were finding your song instead on streaming platforms, and it experienced like this big blow up. Like, when did you realize that was happening?
I was on a tour bus, literally, and yeah, I was already on tour in America and stuff, and I think it was my second tour in America, and we were in some weird part where it's like the roads look like Nigeria. Yeah, the road looked like my village. Like I couldn't believe I was in America. So yeah, I mean, right in that moment while we're talking about that, it's like that pops up and we see what's going on, and it's all blessings.
Have you and Ye ever connected and talked about that moment at all?
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that the first time you had met him?
Yeah.
The answer, the title, I love that, it's just short, sweet, to the point, Yay.
Yeah.
The year after you came out with Ye, in 2019, you released African Giant. For those in the audience who don't know the story, how did you come up with that title?
I can't even remember. I can't really remember it. I remember it was some situation, there was some controversy, but I can't remember exactly the details at this point in time,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like
No, I remember now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the Coachella. It was when I had to do Coachella or something, and I couldn't find my name on the promotion or whatever. And my name was there, but I couldn't find it, so yeah, I had a problem with that. So that's how that came about. Yeah.
You had to let them know you're the African Giant.
Well, in that situation, yeah.
Had that not happened, do you think you still would have named the album African Giant?
Probably not.
Really? Do you think you would have had, like, what alternative
Actually,
title?
I had a whole other album ready before that. I had to
Really?
made a whole different album because of that.
It inspired you to do the whole album African Giant.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. And I feel like the emblem like follows you everywhere. Like even your chain right now says African Giant. When I was watching your Arc Digest video, the pool like that you have in your house, the tiling says African Giant. Like, I love that it's become this, emblem for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of that song comes from your 2018 album Outside, which I think a lot of people look as like, your US breakthrough album, probably because you had just signed to Atlantic Records at the time and Bad Habit, but you also release your music in Africa strictly through your own label, Spaceship Collective. How did you come up with your own label?
The name or?
Just like the name, the concept.
Well, I've always been infatuated with spaceships and aliens and stuff like that, you know, and kind of one always have questions and just always watching shit that's you know, that fucks my head up. And yeah, so I kind of start seeing myself like that in my world, where it's like I'm the only one in space, like on the spaceship type shit, because you know I felt so far ahead of my time and my, you know. So yeah, that's how that come about.
And why was it important for you that in Africa specifically, you release your music through your own album? Or through your own label, my bad.
Money.
Great answer. Your fifth album, Twice as Tall, got you your first Grammy for Best Global Music Album. What did that Grammy win mean for you?
I don't understand. What does it mean? What does the Grammy win mean?
Like for you specifically, like.
For me?
Yeah.
It means I'm great. You know?
Give it up. Speaking of that album, it was executive produced by Mama Burna, but also Diddy, which is incredible. I mean, what was working with, you know, an American hip hop icon and mogul like Diddy? Like, what was that like? And how did that impact the music that you made?
Well, it was on Zoom.
Because of the pandemic?
Yeah. So it probably wasn't what you're thinking it was. You know, so yeah, I mean, it was great, you know. It was an experience, a connection got to be made, and more importantly than everything, a friendship was established, you know. So yeah, that's kind of the best part of the experience, you know. So, yeah.
What was the best advice that Diddy gave you?
I can't say it.
Is it similar to what your grandfather's advice was?
Yeah, this one's worse.
Oh. I mean, Diddy is a bad boy, so makes sense. You got to record on that album with Naughty by Nature. On the song titled Naughty by Nature, you shared that memory of you singing their song when you're, what, like 3, 4 years old? I mean, talk about a full circle moment. Like, what was that like for you to actually be able to be on the same song as, like, your childhood icon?
That's the whole point. That's why I wanted them on the song. That's why, you know, it just had to be done, you know, and they were nothing but, you know, I don't know the right English word, but, you know, like, they were amazing. Like, I got their verses on my birthday.
Really? That's such a special gift.
Yeah, so, and it came with a video of them saying happy birthday and showing love, so it meant so much to me, you know?
Aww.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you brought up your birthday because that's a perfect segue. You're releasing your new album, Love Damini, close to your 31st birthday.
No, on my 31st.
On your 31st birthday, thank you. And when we were talking about this, you said that, you know, it's a reflection of turning 31. As you reflect on your life and think about just even between 30 and 31, like where you are now in your life, like what comes to mind? Like, how are you feeling about entering this new era in your life and what you've accomplished so far?
Download the album and you'll see.
Is there anything you can tease about the album?
I mean, pre-order it now. You can, what's that word? Pre-save.
Pre-save.
Yeah, pre-save.
You heard the man, so you all know what you're doing after this panel is over.
Make sure everybody you know pre-saves as well.
And listen to his latest single, Last Last.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you love to collaborate with next?
Fela.
Would you ever use like a Fela sample or something?
Oh, I'll wait when we get to heaven. We did.
Who else is like on your dream collab list? Because for me personally, even though you've already collabed with this person, you and Georgia Smith on a record together, that is magic.
Big up J Money.
Like, I would love to hear something from y'all again, but who else are you like, this is on my, like, is there anyone on your bucket list? Like, obviously Naughty by Nature is an incredible one, but who else alive?
I don't know. I don't really think about these things. I just let it happen, So I haven't thought about it like that, But when I do, I'll let you know.
Please do, especially if it's Georgia. Just ring me up.
Georgia, me and Georgia, we work. We're gonna be working forever, It's nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to hear it. You've taken over, obviously, the world's biggest stages, as I've mentioned earlier, and you said, you don't have a dream venue, you have dream venues, and you have like unorthodox ideas of where you want to conquer next. If you could transform any place that's not a traditional concert venue.
I was thinking, when did I say that to you?
You don't remember London?
No, I remember.
Come on now. But like, if there was a place that's not a traditional concert venue that you could transform into one specifically for you, what would it be and why?
You're really trying to get me in trouble.
Am I?
All the questions you ask have some crazy answers. Okay, honestly, the White House.
The White House.
And not no like presidential banquet or nothing. Nah, a Burna Boy show in the
White House.
Yeah, like
1600
all the offices
Pennsylvania
open,
Ave.
everything's open, like everyone's just everywhere. Just you get me, and then yeah, man.
I cannot wait for that. I want to be front row when that happens. That would be crazy. Something else that I really do love about you is one of your quotes, I took the stairs. And you talk about, how you have to diligently work your way up to be the phenomenal artist and performer that you are today. When you think about, your first couple shows where there's maybe like a couple hundred people versus now, selling out MSG, which is like 20,000 people, what does that period in the middle, like, what did you learn from that period?
That period was the best times of my life. It was the most fun I ever had, because I got to really be on the ground for real, like really experience everything. And, like now it's like I meet people at I'll do shows in like Madison Square or whatever, and then I'll meet people who see my show when I done my first show in 2017. Like who works, one of the people who worked on it or something, or worked on the stage or something. And now they're in Madison Square working on the same shit. But it's not like I hired them. It's like they also moved up in the world,
Right.
So it's like shit like that. It's like you can't buy that, Yeah.
The whole idea of bringing up the people that have always been by your side. And
it's like not even necessarily just me bringing like not necessarily only the people I bring up, but the people that just come or directly, the people that also come up indirectly, through the whole situation. Like obviously someone who's done a stage for me, who just happened to work in the venue, back in 2017, because I wasn't carrying no stage manager around in 2000. Right. You understand what I mean? So it's like the stages were built by whoever was on ground. You understand? And it kind of still is like that, but now it's like we can afford more. But the point is, like, people like that from back in the day who randomly run into, who are working on something for us, and then how many years later we're still doing the same thing, and then we run into each other again on the job, and you're up, I'm up, it's a good vibe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And, thinking about all the people that have worked with you and been in your periphery, your family is such a big part of your team. your mom is your manager, your sister, Ronamishi, is not just your stylist, but she helps so much with the creative. And, you know, in talking to all three of you, there's so much love and there's so much hard work and dedication, which I appreciate. What is it like to have, you know, your loved ones be on your team, and what is that relationship and dynamic like?
Well, I mean, it's a bit of everything, you know. Everything is inside, so it makes it what it is, you know?
Yeah, and that internal unit.
Mm.
Where do you see African music going from here?
Well, if I could see things like that, then I probably would be a lot,
A psychic.
you know, but I hope for the best and prepare for the worst, as I told you last time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, I think I said this too last time.
But for the people in the audience who were not in London
Okay.
with us,
So what, you don't read the Billboard magazine then?
see, they have a lot of homework, because not only do they have to pre-save the album,
Yeah.
listen
So
to
why
the
was
new
I excited
single,
I was on the cover
they
then?
have to read the cover story. So for those who didn't do the homework,
Damn. Okay.
because, you know, there's some slackers out here.
Yeah, basically my legacy would be the BB and AB, which is before Burna and after Burna, you know? That's my legacy, you know?
Well, thank you so much, Burna, for coming out to Vegas. I can't wait to see you perform at the Billboard Music Awards, and you're a rock star.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Burna Boy.